Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Property Management 101, and for today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you all my 2024 tip for all property management professionals. As I talk to individuals that work in the property management space, like property managers, system managers, regionals, I'm always so surprised how many of them feel that they have no time to complete any of their projects or goals. They're constantly late to appointments, they're always behind on emails, they're behind on following up with residents and other employees. This is something that surprises me, is how many deal with this every single day. If you ever find yourself in this type of situation, then this video is for you. My tip for 2024 for all of you property management professionals is take control of your schedule. I heard a quote one time that really applies well to this tip. If you don't take control of your time, someone else will. If you're constantly having a situation where you're feeling stressed out because you're always behind and you're always trying to gear your time around others, then you're likely to face burnout, you're likely not to hit your assets goals and strategy, you're likely not to have reports submitted when they're expected, and you're not likely to enjoy your job to the level you should be in this industry. So to help with that, here are 3 good practices that I would highly recommend that I've personally used and continue to use to help manage your calendar and your time in the industry. Number 1, own your calendar. If you ask me, it all starts with you owning your own calendar. You always want to make sure you're blocking off time that you need to ensure that you're performing at the highest level possible. Oftentimes, I see a lot of property management professionals only block off time when they're meeting with someone. You should be blocking off time for any of the following reasons: projects, reports, property walks, HR items like timesheets and payroll, as well as personal items. Anything that you want to make sure that you're attending and you're completing, I would add it to your calendar. I think one of the biggest mistakes I see in the property management industry is individuals leave their calendars way too open, and they allow themselves to easily be addressed and easily be fit into other individuals' schedules. You should be blocking off time what works best for you to ensure you're performing at a high level. Also keep in mind things like this. If you're a regional manager or an area employee, or you work on the single family side where you're traveling a lot from site to site, you also want to make sure you're blocking off time from a travel perspective. One tip I would always recommend as well: I would always recommend between appointments or things that you schedule on your calendar to add a 5 to 15 minute buffer to allow things like if the meeting were to run over, or allow you to have some rest or a break where you can get a drink of water, get a coffee, or just simply use the restroom. These types of things are going to be important to really allow you not to have a dynamic where you don't even have a minute to take a second and breathe or check your emails or do some of the things I mentioned prior. Another thing that I often see that staff members do not plan out with their schedule is reports. So let's say you have a consistent report that you're responsible for either auditing or submitting, that you are solely responsible in that action. This is something then you should be blocking off time whenever that report is due, whether it be semi-monthly, whether it be semi-annually, quarterly, monthly, weekly, whatever that is. Block off that time to ensure you're getting this report done in time and you're meeting the expectations of that you're responsible for. The second practice that I would highly recommend when it comes to owning your schedule and owning your time is do not be afraid to say no. This is a really important one that actually leans heavily into the first practice that I just mentioned. It doesn't matter, it's irrelevant what you scheduled if you're not willing and able to say no when others ask for your time. Your time, your calendar, your projects, the things you're responsible for are really important that you get them done, but you cannot do that if you're always saying yes to anyone that's asking for your time. If you're constantly pushing back things or rearranging things that you're responsible for on your calendar, then you're going to start to really fall behind and have the dynamic of burnout or not hitting your goals or responsibilities as an employee. I'm not suggesting that nothing will ever come up that you'll need to rearrange your calendar. But I also believe if it's not pressing, it's not an emergency, it's not super time sensitive, then they should be able to be understanding that, hey, I'm not available at this time for this meeting or to turn this in, so I'm going to be able to do this, but I'm going to set a good expectation of when you can expect that. I hope you're enjoying this video so far and learning something new. If so, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for future videos. And the third good practice that I'm going to be talking about today to help you as far as owning your time and owning your calendar and your schedule, you're going to want to have a check-in at the start of the day and the end of the day. What I'm referring to is at the end of each day and at the start of each day, you're going to double check your calendar to kind of see what you have on your agenda for that day and what you have on your agenda for the following day. At the end of every day, I would look at what you have on your agenda for the following day. This allows you to end your day with a good expectation of what you have on your calendar and your plate for the following day. This also prevents you from checking your email, checking your phone, taking your laptop home because you're curious what you have on the schedule for the next day. By confirming what you have on your calendar for the next day will allow you to enjoy that time off work and enjoy your time with your friends and family. After that, at the end of each day, I would also look at your calendar to see what you accomplished that day. If there are things that you had on your calendar you did not get to or you did not fully complete, then you can easily move those to a future day that works for you that you have open. So this allows you not to miss anything that you've had scheduled. This really allows you to leave your day every day knowing what to expect the following day and to see what you have accomplished that day. That really allows you to leave your job with a really positive mindset of what I accomplished and what I can expect for the next day. At the start of every day, when you look at your calendar and what's on your agenda, here's some things that I would ask yourself to make sure you're as prepared as possible. Is there any meetings that you don't feel prepared for that are on your agenda that day? Are there any reports or data points that you need to look up to be prepared for that meeting? Is there anything on your calendar that you feel that you need to adjust or reschedule? Is there something on your calendar where you feel that maybe your attendance is not needed or maybe someone could fill in for you? And this is something to consider as a property manager or regional that you may be able to delegate a little bit and free up your calendar if something comes up that you feel that maybe your attendance is not needed. You could put more value somewhere else. And a bonus tip for you today. This is something, regardless of the platform you have your calendar on, I would make sure that you're sharing your calendar with all of your coworkers. If you've not already done so, I would highly recommend sharing your calendar with your coworkers. This is going to be really important because it allows and sets a really good expectation of when you're busy, when you're available, and over time, your coworkers will really respect this dynamic. I would also encourage them to share their calendars with you as well. This also allows a great option where if a resident or an applicant or a vendor or anyone comes in that wants to speak to you directly, and if your coworkers have access to your calendars, they can see when you're available, schedule time for that with that individual. And this is a great way of, so it's preventing a lot of follow-up, a lot of frustration from that individual. So this is a great option, but to also allow to see when people are available to meet with individuals. And for a video recap today, keep in mind these practices when you try to take control of your schedule in 2024. Number 1, own your calendar. Number 2, do not be afraid to say no. Number 3, have that check-in at the start and end of every day of your agenda. And for the bonus tip, share your calendar with your coworkers. I hope you enjoyed this video and you learned something new. If so, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for future videos. And if you've not already watched our updated disclosure and our why we do this video, which is the channel's why, please make sure you do so before putting any of these practices into place, and I'll put a link to those in the video description. And if you like to stay on top of industry news, interact with some of the fun polls we posted, and be notified when there's video releases on this channel, please follow us on LinkedIn and our Instagram account as well. If you have any questions about this video or any of our videos that we post, feel free to leave a comment. I'll be happy to address it for you. Happy leasing.